Just extremely inconvenient for Dev that those handful of statements just so happened to come from people who were compromised because they were coached secretly by Liz Cheney, who just so happened to be on the committee that was interrogating them. And yes, this has been 100% proven, here are the texts to prove it, but again, that is yet another fact that gets oh so conveniently left out by Dev in his 4-hour-long comprehensive look at the Eastman Memo. And so far, the 3 pieces of evidence that Dev has omitted just so happen to be pieces of evidence that directly contradict his claim that the Eastman Memo was an illegal coup attempt. But wait, it gets even better, because he also went out of his way to directly defend the Jan 6 committee against accusations that it would be biased and potentially corrupt on the grounds that the Republicans shot themselves in the foot, and that it's also just a wild conspiracy theory bro. You know, leaving aside the fact that people on the committee were directly coaching the so-called witnesses on how to respond to specific questions. It is worth mentioning for the record that Dev did, however, find it within his time to go out of his way to try to dismiss and
proof? The January 6th committee was coaching the witnesses? Proof? Proof?
I should mention that the proof was in fact provided, starting 60 seconds prior to her asking for proof, and ending 53 seconds prior to her asking for proof. Starting with this press release from the Congressional Committee on House Administration, covering how new texts reveal Liz Cheney communicated with Cassidy Hutchinson about her Select Committee testimony without Hutchinson's attorney's knowledge, despite Cheney knowing it was unethical. Liz Cheney was on the Jan 6 committee, and this is talking about her coaching Ms. Hutchinson's testimony during the Jan 6 committee. Additional evidence I showed came in the form of screenshots from the press release itself of some of the text messages between these individuals. Here are those images of those text messages again, because clearly object permanence is a foreign concept for even the most intelligent of short fat otaku defenders. Downplay the findings of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, which is rather interesting because it is ultimately that committee that has been finding actual evidence of Joe Biden committing election fraud, you know, along with the Twitter files that have also leaked. But nevertheless, election fraud on the part of Joe Biden that Dev is vehemently trying to deny, despite the fact that I have screenshots of Dev openly admitting that yes, Joe Biden committed election fraud. He just oh so curiously flipped his.
Okay, Dev says, no, my argument is that the attempt to mess with the election failed, so the election is still legitimate. We're not talking about if the FBI is innocent. We're talking about if the trail's off. So was trying to steal an election, which is why I would not support Trump. Wait, huh? Did he not? Did he say anywhere that Biden tried to steal an election?
Position on that the moment he realized election fraud on the part of Joe Biden that Dev is vehemently trying to deny, despite the fact that I have screenshots of Dev openly admitting that yes, Joe Biden committed election fraud. He just oh so curiously flipped his position on that the moment he realized how utterly damning his old position was, that being that Joe Biden trying.
Hey, remember when you admitted the FBI was trying to steal the election in favor of Biden? Dev says we're not talking about if the FBI is innocent. We're talking about if the ... He's not talking. He never once said here. He never once said here. He never said once here. He never said once here that the FBI tried to steal the. How did he even come to that? How did he? There's nothing, not even a tiny grain of what is here supports what he is saying right now in the video. Not a single droplet, not a single grain. I don't think Dev should even respond. This guy is a clout chaser.
Here is the exact part of the quote, which is very visible in this screenshot, where Dev admits that the FBI attempted election fraud to help Biden win. Quote, my argument is that the attempt to mess with the election failed, so the election is still legitimate, unquote. When Dev is arguing that the attempt to mess with the election failed, that is him admitting that yes, there was an attempt. Because for the attempt to have failed, you would have had to have tried it in the first place. Adding to this the additional context of him immediately following up with another sentence talking about the FBI and claiming that their innocence or lack of innocence is irrelevant, it becomes very clear that he is in fact admitting that the FBI committed election fraud. Considering the fact that the text is still very visible on the screen, even someone lacking object permanence could see the issue here. What makes this whole situation even funnier is that she herself read the damning quote aloud.
Okay, Dev says, no, my argument is that the attempt to mess with the election failed, so the election is still legitimate.
Meaning that she has such a limited attention span that she isn't even paying attention to what she herself is openly saying. We're going to look at one more example, and while it is an earlier example, I felt I should save the best for last. Say that the Eastman Memo was a crazy idea, and that is a fair critique. However, he also goes on to say explicitly that it was a legal idea, that having an alternate slate of electors was not a violation of the law. It is...
Yeah, it's not... He misses the point. The point is that it's not like whether you could, it's whether you can replace another slate of electors. Yeah.
If your response to a question of whether or not something is legal is to start with saying, quote, it's not a matter of whether or not you could, then congratulations, you've just admitted that you yourself believe that thing to be legal. In other words, this highly intelligent short fat otaku defender just argued that replacing slates of electors, which by the way is not what the Eastman Memo called for, is still somehow completely legal in her mind. Which means that even her strawman interpretation of what the Eastman Memo was, to the point that it doesn't even resemble the Eastman Memo, even that interpretation is not a coup attempt, nor is it illegal in her mind. There's obviously a lot more we could go over, but I felt this is more than enough for today. I will, however, be providing links and timestamps in the description below to the video itself so you can check it out for yourself if you should so desire. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.